Imagine a scenario. What if a country offered you, a newcomer, a significant sum of money, $34,000 in cold hard cash, to simply leave, to pack your bags and return from whence you came? This isn't some far-fetched hypothetical or a plot from a dystopian novel. It's a very real and very current policy that went into effect as of July 2025. This initiative comes directly from the Swedish government. Sweden now offers, under specific conditions, certain immigrants and asylum seekers residing within its borders, a rather substantial cash grant, a considerable sum of money, to voluntarily return, to willingly go back, to their country of origin, to the place they once called home. The policy itself, officially called Voluntary Return and Reintegration Support, marks a rather dramatic shift, a significant departure from Sweden's long-standing, historically recognized humanitarian image, its reputation for compassion. It reframes the complex issue of migration as a transactional choice, a calculated decision, raising some tough questions, sparking important debates about asylum, the very concept of seeking refuge, integration, and the very definition of national identity. The grant itself can amount to up to 350,000 Swedish kroner, specifically for a family unit, and can be truly life-changing, transformative, in many countries around the world. Officially, the policy is presented as a humane alternative, a compassionate option, to the often harsh reality of forced deportation, giving people agency, empowering them to make a choice, and providing a financial head start, a chance at a new beginning. But beneath the surface of this seemingly generous offer, it's also a response to, a reaction against mounting social and political pressures within Sweden, aiming to carefully manage, to strategically control, overall population numbers, demographic trends, and the prevailing public sentiment. The $34,000 question, the core dilemma, isn't just a question for immigrants and asylum seekers. It's a question for Sweden itself, for the nation as a whole. What kind of country? What sort of society does it ultimately want to be? What path will it choose for the future? And at what cost? What are the long-term implications of this decision? Sweden's modern identity was built on post-war humanitarianism, welcoming refugees from Chile, Iran, Bosnia, and beyond. The 2015 European migrant crisis changed everything. Sweden took in more asylum seekers per capita than any other EU country, straining its welfare system. Public opinion shifted, and the far-right Sweden Democrats surged in popularity, pushing mainstream parties to adopt tougher immigration policies. Border controls, stricter laws, and temporary permits became the new normal. In this climate, the idea of paying people to leave gained traction not just as policy but as a political statement. The voluntary return program is the culmination of a decade-long shift from open arms to managed migration. It signals the end of unconditional welcome and the start of a new era, conditional acceptance and calculated departures. The voluntary return program isn't designed for everyone. It has specific criteria to ensure it reaches the intended individuals. Primarily, it targets those whose asylum claims have been thoroughly reviewed and ultimately rejected by the Swedish authorities. These are individuals who have exhausted their appeals process. It also extends to those whose legal status in Sweden is precarious, meaning their residency is uncertain or at risk of being revoked. This could include individuals with temporary permits nearing expiration. The voluntary return program serves as an alternative to forced deportation, offering a more humane and supported way for individuals to return to their country of origin. The program is officially run and administered by the Swedish Migration Agency, the government body responsible for immigration matters. To be eligible, individuals must formally withdraw any pending appeals related to their asylum case or residency status. Furthermore, they must make a firm commitment to permanently leaving Sweden with the intention of establishing a life in their home country. Participants receive logistical assistance in planning their departure, alongside a financial grant designed to support their initial resettlement. The financial grant is carefully structured to ensure responsible use and provide ongoing support. Initially, a small portion of the grant is provided up front to cover immediate expenses. The remaining balance is dispersed after the individual has safely arrived in their home country, ensuring the funds are available where they are most needed. This disbursement is often facilitated through partner organizations and NGOs operating within the home country, ensuring accountability and proper distribution. A family participating in the program can receive a substantial grant, potentially reaching up to 350,000 Swedish kroner, depending on their circumstances. For a single adult, the grant typically amounts to approximately 100,000 kroner. By accepting the voluntary return grant, individuals enter into a binding legal agreement with the Swedish Migration Agency. This agreement includes a multi-year ban on re-entering Sweden, as well as the entire Schengen area, a zone encompassing many European countries. Therefore, the program is intentionally designed as a one-way street, emphasizing the finality of the decision. It offers financial assistance to facilitate a new beginning, but simultaneously closes the door to future opportunities within Europe. Ultimately, for each individual considering this option, it represents a significant trade-off between the potential for a fresh start in their homeland and a permanent goodbye to life in Europe. The numbers tell part of the story. In 2023, about 9,500 people took Sweden's offer to leave, mostly from Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, and Iran. The government spent nearly $38 million on the program in 2024, arguing it's cheaper than supporting rejected asylum seekers long-term. The policy is working as intended, more voluntary departures, fewer forced deportations. But success isn't just about numbers. Follow-up data is scarce, and the reality for returnees is mixed. Some use the funds to rebuild, others face stigma, joblessness, or the same dangers they fled. The statistics show departures, but not whether lives are truly rebuilt. The real impact remains uncertain. Are futures being restored, or is desperation simply being exported? Accepting cash to leave Sweden, a proposition presented to those facing uncertain futures, is a complex decision, laden with personal considerations and difficult choices. The choice to accept the grant and depart, or to decline and remain, is a deeply personal decision, shaped by hope, the yearning for a better life, despair, the crushing weight of current circumstances, and pragmatism, a cold assessment of risks and opportunities. For many, the grant is an escape from years of legal limbo, a bureaucratic maze with no clear end in sight. No work, no education, no stability. The money offers a chance to start over, a clean slate, a fresh perspective, buy land, open a business, or reunite with family back home. For some, it's the only way to reclaim dignity after rejection. But for others, returning is unthinkable, an impossibility given their circumstances, especially for those fleeing persecution, violence, or discrimination. No sum can outweigh the risk of harm, the potential for renewed suffering, so they choose to remain, even undocumented. Many have built lives in Sweden. They've invested time, energy, and emotion, children born there, social ties, a sense of belonging. Leaving means uprooting everything, severing connections and starting from scratch, abandoning hope for legal status, a dream deferred, and severing hard-won connections. For these individuals, the emotional cost of leaving far exceeds any financial incentive. The ties they forged are simply too strong to break. The Swedish government defends the program as cost-effective and humane, cheaper than long-term support, and less traumatic than forced deportation. It's also seen as a way to reduce social tensions and focus resources on those granted asylum. Supporters call it a win-win. The state saves money and individuals avoid coercion. Critics, however, see exploitation of the vulnerable. Is the choice really free if the alternative is destitution or danger? The large payout can feel coercive, pushing people to unsafe returns and raising questions about Sweden's humanitarian obligations. Children who've only known Sweden are paid to leave their home, risking lasting psychological harm. The ethical debate is stark. Is this empowered choice or gilded deportation? The answer depends on whether you see the policy as pragmatic compassion or a retreat from moral responsibility. Sweden's pay-to-leave policy is being watched across Europe. Administratively, it's increased voluntary departures and eased political pressure. But its long-term impact is unclear. There's little data on whether returnees thrive or struggle. The program's success depends on conditions in countries of return, far beyond Sweden's control. Other nations are adopting similar policies, signaling a shift from open-ended humanitarianism to managed transactional migration. Is this a compassionate innovation or a slippery slope toward paying away responsibility? One thing is certain: Sweden's policy has changed the conversation, forcing Europe to rethink its obligations to migrants. The $34,000 question will echo for years to come.